How's it going, guys? We're here talking some Penn State football today on Basic Blues. Big game coming up this week, Penn State, Ohio State. One of those games, look on the calendar and say, man, this is going to be the big one of the year. Every single year, the Ohio State game for me is the special one that I always look forward to. Even if we don't have a great year record-wise, if we can find a way to beat Ohio State, that makes it so much better for me. And I was pretty excited about this game until the last week or so, because even after the Iowa game, I thought as long as we had Clifford, we have a solid chance to beat Ohio State. That is not looking like it's going to happen right now. In fact, I'd be surprised if it's even a close game. Okay, I mean, the way we looked against Illinois, I am not expecting us to be very good, because how are we supposed to be able to go into Columbus and pull out a victory when we can't even at home beat 2-5 Illinois? Okay, I don't know what we're going to do. I think we're going to get ran all over. If we can't even stop the run against Illinois without P.J. Mustafa, how do we expect to go up against Travion Henderson? I mean, he might rush for 250 yards against us, and then they got the weapons on the outside, which our DBs have been good all year long, but they got Garrett Wilson, they got Chris Olave. We know they have depth at the receiver position. They always do. And our DBs are going to be tested. As good as they are, they're going to be going up against top 2 or 3 receiver unit in the country. And we're about to see just how good they are on Saturday. And offensively, I mean, I don't even know what to expect from Clifford. I mean, I hope he's closer to 100% than he was last week, but is he really going to be? Is he going to be that much better? I doubt it. So we'll have to find out what happens. I mean, they're just going to have to be a lot of players that step up and do a lot of things they weren't able to do last week, because the environment they're going into, they're going up against a team that really hasn't had a big game since the Oregon game, and they're looking to prove themselves because they haven't really had a big win all year yet. And Ohio State's looking to get that big win to cement themselves okay, we're back into it, which, beating Penn State, I'm not sure if it's even that big win anymore because the way we've looked lately. So, this program, where it's at right now compared to what it was even just a couple weeks ago, it just feels totally different. It feels totally different. Franklin, when we were doing well, even with the rumors coming up, it was like, oh, who cares? He's going to stay. Now it looks like he's probably going to leave. I mean, or at least that's what the reports seem to be. And then you look at what's going on with the team right now, obviously losing the last 2 games, which is very disappointing. And, really, if we can find a way to run the table, we're in Big Ten title contention. But the problem is that running the table against Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State, I mean, heck, I don't even know if we're going to beat Maryland or Rutgers at this point. I just don't. And we could be looking at a 6-6 season. I would not be that surprised the way we looked the last couple weeks. And it's very disappointing. Injuries are definitely a killer, but that shouldn't be an excuse. We should have built up enough depth to be able to withstand that. That's what the top teams in the country do year in and year out. I mean, you look at Oklahoma, even though they've had some struggles at the quarterback position, they've found a way to go 7-0. And that's what's keeping them in the playoff conversation, and we haven't been able to do that. Ohio State's able to do that. Alabama's able to do that. And I know it's hard to be among those top echelon teams, but I mean, really, that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to be a national champion, or at least a playoff team. I mean, we're not satisfied with just being pretty good year in and year out. That shouldn't be our goal as Penn State fans. And we need to be able to, if we do get another coach, listen, Franklin, I think he's a great recruiter, but is he going to be any more than that? I don't know. I mean, at this point, he's had a ton of games to prove himself. He got us back to national relevancy, but he's had a ton of chances to get us to that next level and just hasn't been able to do it. And I don't know if he will be able to do it. Yeah, we got a good recruiting class coming in, but is that really going to do that much? I mean, we've had good recruiting classes in the past, and with the 5 stars we had in 2018, only one of them panned out with Micah Parsons. Ricky Slade didn't pan out, and Justin Shorter definitely didn't pan out. He was probably the biggest bust I can remember in the last decade in Penn State football history. He was the number 1 receiver in the country. Of course, the one time we get the number 1 receiver in the country, it doesn't work out. I mean, I think he's doing all right at Florida right now, but still, it's ridiculous That that's very unfortunate too, because it's not really that often we're going to end up getting a guy like him in the recruiting rankings, anyways. And so yeah, just overall where this program's at right now, heading into this game, very disappointing. And I could see us losing by 40. I'd be very impressed if Franklin and the team's able to get up and just really push Ohio State. I don't want it to just be like a moral victory. Like I hate moral victories, but it might be one this week if we're able to only lose by single digits, or stay in the game all 4 quarters. If we can do that, because I remember thinking that even 2019, like going to Columbus, like we only lost by 11. Like, we could have lost by a lot more. And I hate, from a pride perspective, it sucks being like, oh, we only lost by this much. That's good. I really only want to accept winning. And, it sucks though, because I feel like Ohio State is that much better than we are. And I don't know what it's going to take to change that in the future. Ohio State will still recruit an elite level. Even if we get a top 5 class, they're still going to have a top 5 class, and you won't see that big of a dip. We'll close the gap, but still, like, it takes a lot more than just recruiting to beat them too. You got to be able to do it on game day. And, just beating them once in 2016 isn't what cuts it. It'll help you for the next couple of years in recruiting, but you need to be able to consistently match up and win about every other year against Ohio State if you want to actually be able to be respected like an Ohio State. And I don't know if Franklin will be able to take us to that level. And these games are the big games. This game is really the game of the season, and it's going to be really hard to stop Ohio State. I think they're going to be really motivated. C.J. Stroud has had some struggles this year. Like, he's had a lot of criticism for why Ohio State maybe didn't look like Ohio State early in the year. Personally, I think he's definitely not the problem. He's talented enough. He's doing all the things that Ohio State needs him to do. I think the big difference was that their defense was not elite early in the year. They're used to having like Chase Young. They're used to having Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, those type of guys on the defense side. Well, Jeff Okudah. They don't really have one of those elite defensive players, and they don't have like multiple of them throughout their lineup, which seems like they do a lot of times. And I think that's their big problem on defense. I know their defense coordinator has gotten a lot of criticism, but it seems like even though they haven't played great teams, it looks like they've patched up that part of their team. They still got talent. Listen, they might not have top 10 picks on their defense, but they still got some guys, trust me, that probably more talented than Penn State's defense. I mean, we got a couple dudes too, like Jaquan Brisker, Arnold Buchetti. Brandon Smith's talented, but he could still get better for as talented as he is. And, I think Ohio State is at least as good as we are on the defensive side of the ball. And, especially with Mustapher being out. I mean, he was probably the best, or the most important, maybe not the best, but he was the most important player on our defense, in my opinion. And losing him is like almost as close to losing Sean Clifford as far as the defensive side of the ball goes, because teams, I think, will be able to gash us in the run game now, and pressure up the middle I don't think will come anymore, and it's just unfortunate. So yeah, coming into this game, big game, big game. I want to get excited for this one. It's hard for me to get excited. We'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens. Just go out there, have some pride, put together a well run game from a coaching perspective, and hopefully the players put something together and at least make Ohio State sweat a bit. All right, well, thank you guys. We are Penn State.